Hey guys, for Reader's Workshop today, we're going to continue reading Days with Frog and Toad. And last time we read this book, we read the second chapter, which was Flying a Kite. Today we're going to read a chapter called The Hat. And our focus for today is going to be to use what we know about the characters in order to figure out what they're going to do next. All right. So in the first couple chapters that we read, we know that Toad is kind of a lazy character, right? He didn't want to clean his house, and he was getting annoyed with having to try over and over again to fly his kite. So keep those two things in mind when we read the chapter today called The Hat. So now, before we even read the chapter, I'm just going to show you the first picture on the page. So Frog is kind of looking at Toad, and if you notice, Toad's hat, right? It's covering his eyes. So I'm going to use what I know about Toad and what I've read so far in the story to make a couple predictions. So in the first chapter, I knew that Toad really didn't want to clean his house. In the second chapter, Toad was getting so frustrated trying to fly his kite, and he just kept giving up. So in this chapter, I'm going to use those two things that I already know about him in order to make a prediction. So I think in this chapter, seeing that the hat is covering his eyes, I think he might get frustrated again, just like he did when he was trying to fly the kite or when he was trying to avoid cleaning his house. He might just totally give up and say, you know what, forget it. I'm not even going to wear this hat. It doesn't fit me. It's not working. And then he's going to sort of move on to the next thing. So I'm going to read you the chapter and we'll find out what actually happens. And then for today, your job is going to be to take those things that you already know about the characters in your book and make a prediction about what the character is going to do next. So here we go. This chapter is called The Hat. On Toad's birthday, Frog gave him a hat. Toad was delighted. "Happy birthday," said Frog. Toad put on the hat. I felt it fell down over his eyes. "I'm sorry," said Frog. "That hat is much too big for you. I will give you something else." "No," said Toad. "This hat is your present to me. I like it. I will wear it just the way it is." Frog and Toad went for a walk. Toad tripped over a rock. He bumped into a tree. He fell into a hole. "Frog," said Toad, "I can't see anything. I will not be able to wear your beautiful present. This is a sad birthday for me." Frog and Toad were sad for a while. Then Frog said, "Toad, here is what you must do. Tonight, when you go to bed, you must think some very big thoughts. Those big thoughts will make your head grow larger. In the morning, your new hat may fit." "What a good idea," said Toad. So far, my prediction is correct, right? I thought that Toad was going to give up, but Frog, his great friend, sort of is talking him into a way to solve his problem. So let's keep going and see what happens. That night when Toad went to bed, he thought the biggest thoughts that he could think. Toad thought about giant sunflowers. He thought about tall oak trees, and he thought about high mountains covered with snow. Then Toad fell asleep. Frog came into Toad's house. He came in quietly. Frog found the hat and took it to his house. Frog poured some water on the hat. He put the hat in a warm place to dry. It began to shrink. The hat grew smaller and smaller and smaller. Frog went back to Toad's house. Toad was still fast asleep. Frog put the hat back on the hook where he found it. When Toad woke up in the morning, he put the hat on his head. It was just the right size. So what do you think Toad's going to think? I'm making a prediction. I think that Toad is going to think that Frog's original plan really worked. He doesn't know that Frog actually poured water on it and shrunk the hat. So Toad is probably thinking, oh my goodness, Frog's suggestion was right. I thought big thoughts and look what happened. Now the hat fits me. So let's see what happens. Toad ran to Frog's house. "Frog, Frog," he cried, "all those big thoughts have made my head much larger. Now I can wear your present." Frog and Toad went for a walk. Toad did not trip over a rock. He did not bump into a tree. He did not fall into a hole. It turned out to be a very pleasant day after Toad's birthday. And that is the end of the chapter called The Hat. So, like I said before, we used what we knew about our character from the first two chapters in order to make predictions about how Toad was going to react to this sort of problem in this chapter. So today, like I said, your job is going to be to use what you already know about your characters in order to make a prediction about what is going to happen next or how they're going to react to a certain situation. Happy reading.